This is Caring for Kids on News Talk 760 WJR. Presented by the Children's Foundation. And here's your host, President and CEO of the Children's Foundation, Larry Burns.
Well, thanks, Mark. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our December episode of Caring for Kids. Tonight, we have a great lineup, as usual. Joining us will be Dave Coulter, the Oakland County Executive, Mr. Andrew Stein, incoming President and CEO of the Children's Foundation, and Dr. Matt LaCasse, Child and Adolescent Psychiatrist at the Children's Hospital of Michigan, who is also leading a new substance use disorder center in Troy. It's all coming up next on Caring for Kids, here on the great voice of the Great Lakes, WJR.
It's Caring for Kids with Larry Burns.
Welcome back, everybody. Larry Burns here, Caring for Kids edition, December 2022. And with me is my friend and a true leader in our community, Mr. Dave Coulter. And as everyone knows, Dave is the Oakland County Executive. Dave, welcome to Caring for Kids.
Larry, it's really great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I should say welcome back because you have been on a couple times. So welcome back to Caring for Kids. So I wanted to start by asking you, how are things going in the great county of Oakland County?
You know, it's an amazing job and an amazing opportunity to get to do this work. And so, you know, my first response is, of course, things are going great. But there's always new challenges and there's always new problems to solve or opportunities to grasp. So much like the foundation business, part of what we do is look for those opportunities where we can make an impact, right? And that's what me and my team are trying to do every day. And it's going very well. Thanks.
Yeah, and I've been so impressed with your commitment to overall health for your citizens, but also really increasing mental health capacity. So I commend you for that.
You know, Larry, as you know, I mean, that's one thing that was really, for me, informed by my work at the foundation. If your audience members don't know, I worked with you for 7 years. And so that was really informed by that work. You know, when we at the foundation together decided we needed focus areas and priority areas, mental health really jumped to the top of the list. And it has for me as well as the county executive. It is such a huge need. It was a big need before COVID. And I think COVID just shone a light on how every family, regardless of your income, your race, your size of your family, every family has been impacted in some way by mental health. And it's so important to address. And one of the things we've done as a county, in part by the work that was informed at the foundation, is that we partner with our local mental health nonprofit providers, because we don't do direct service as a county, but we partner with our nonprofits to make sure that the work gets done, because it's so important.
Yeah, well, I commend you for that. So let's stay on that topic a little bit. So as you know, I think the foundation was instrumental in helping open up what we now call the Adolescent Addiction Recovery Center, otherwise known as ARC, in Troy on Big Beaver in the Children's Hospital facility. This is specifically for adolescents suffering from addiction, and it's in your county. And I wanted to get your take on, do you have a sense that this is an issue with young folks in Oakland County?
Oh, my gosh, Larry, as I know you know, it's a huge issue. And again, another one of those that cross all sorts of divisions. It doesn't matter if you come from a wealthy or a poor family, a white or a black family. Addiction is a disease, frankly, and it can hit anybody and any family. It's a huge issue. And the Addiction Recovery Center in Troy, it's going to be a game changer. There are not enough treatment centers. There's not enough beds. There's not enough people in this field. And so the fact that your foundation has helped bring this to the heart of Oakland County and Troy is going to touch so many lives. It really will be a game changer for families in crisis.
Yeah, we need to get you there in the not too distant future. And so you may not know, but your listeners really need to know this is being supported by philanthropy. And so the key donors are the Giannopoulos family, which you're very familiar with, the Jamie Daniels Foundation, which you're very familiar with, Derby for Kids for the next 3 years. That annual event will go toward the ARC. And then, speaking of Oakland County, we have a new foundation gift from the Van Alslander Foundation, which is headquartered in Birmingham.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a great group of generous people.
Right.
I got to meet Ken Daniels, frankly, while I was working with you at the foundation, and the passion of Ken and his wife on behalf of their son, Jamie, was just contagious, and I think really helped motivate a lot of this work. But the fact that you've got such a great group of folks, including the very fun Derby for Kids party proceeds, it's wonderful. And I'll do whatever I can going forward to help to keep the legacy going.
Yeah, we just need to get the word out to more and more schools. We've met with Rochester schools. We've met with Troy schools superintendent to let them know there's a place for their students to go if and their families, by the way, if they're in need.
And I can make sure, Larry, that our health department knows, because folks come to our health clinics all the time for a variety of issues. And I will make sure, if you get me the information, that our health clinicians understand that resource is there as well.
Great. We will follow up on that ASAP. And we're talking to Dave Coulter, Oakland County Executive, former colleague of mine at the Children's Foundation, and great friend, by the way. So I saw recently that you were on a major business development trip for Oakland County. Tell us a little bit about that, and, was it successful?
I was, yes, thank you. I was on a business attraction trip. Oakland County is a major economic player in the state. And it's important that we continue to attract businesses and good-paying jobs to our county. And so I was over in Stockholm, Sweden, and Munich, Germany, specifically talking to companies in the advanced mobility space. It's a hugely exploding industry, and we talked to companies that are growing fast and want to be in the American market, and we're trying to get them to come here to Oakland County to make sure that we continue to provide jobs for our families here. And yes, I don't have a specific project to announce yet, but I'm sure that a number of those companies are going to come and land here with us in Oakland County and in Michigan. So it was very successful. My first trip to both of those countries, so it was quite interesting.
Yeah. Those trips are very successful. I went on, they're not the same, but similar trips to recruit students to the University of Toledo from different countries. And unless you go there, it really is hard to attract companies or people because they want to see you. They want to get a sense of you as a person. So I commend you for taking the time and the energy to do that.
That's right. The folks in Europe, they don't know Oakland County from Oakland, California, right? And so they really do. They need to hear your story. They need to meet you. And it was funny. The one of the things I kept doing to help them understand where we were is I brought up Eminem. It's amazing how well known Eminem is around the world. And I said, his studio is in Oakland County. Where 8 Mile is? They all knew the movie. I said, that's our southern border. So Eminem was really came with me in a way as an ambassador for Oakland County.
Yep, that's great. So as we enter a new year, 2023, what is on the horizon for the county that you're hoping to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I appreciate you asking me. We're going to continue to work on expanding those health clinics that I talked to you about when I got into office. They were primarily just places where you'd go for maybe a vaccine shot or some rudimentary kind of public health services. But again, informed by the work of the foundation, I understood that they needed to be, full service places where when a resident goes there, they can get primary health care, they could get mental health, they could get social and human service help there. And so we're expanding those services. We call it Oakland Health 360, and we're going to continue to build those out and should be completed with that by the end of the year. So that's a really exciting thing. And then the other one I would just tag, a big passion of mine is around education. We know that young people need more than a high school diploma to really have a successful career. And so we have a big, audacious goal of getting 80% of our adults in Oakland County with some kind of a post-secondary degree or certification by 2030. So we call that Oakland 80. And so we're going to continue to help our residents get more and better education so they could get better jobs, and we can attract more companies to Oakland County.
Yeah, so they'd be employees of those companies. So we have a nice, robust, growing relationship with Oakland University.
Wonderful.
And so that's a great university that's on the move. We're supporting their student recovery efforts as well as some mental health efforts as well. But it's First Tee, as you know, we now operate First Tee Greater Detroit, and we have a nice relationship with the men's and women's teams at Oakland University. So that's another connection with your great county.
I'm a big fan of Dr. Peskovich, the president there, and their staff. I think you have a great partner there. We've partnered with them on a number of things, including some sustainability issues around COVID. And so they're a great partner, Larry, as I'm sure you know if you partnered with them. But I applaud you for that. They're I think an underappreciated asset in this region and a really dynamic university.
Yeah, they just have a fabulous campus, their golf courses. It is really a special place. So, Dave, anything else you want our listeners to know about the county?
Well, I could talk about Oakland County all day, but I guess I should do it in the context of our young people, because, you know, my main goal is to give our families and our young people an opportunity, and to make sure that everyone, every child, every family has the same opportunities. And so, one of the things that has I knew before I was executive, but I've seen the statistics on it now, but almost a third of our population, Larry, is foreign born. And, sometimes those immigrant children have a little bit different challenges assimilating into this country. And so we've really leaned in to try to make sure that, especially in the schools, the young people have the language skills and the school skills that they need to be successful here. Because my ultimate goal is just that everybody has the same opportunities as their God-given abilities allow them in Oakland County.
Great. Well, that certainly is very similar to the Children's Foundation and our mission. And I want to thank you, Dave, for all you're doing for the county and for our state. And it was a pleasure working with you as a colleague, and I admire what you're doing for the county. So keep up the great work, and I hope to see you soon.
Larry, I just want to end by saying I believe this is your last Caring for Kids program as CEO.
It is.
And I just want to salute you. We've been through a lot together, my friend, and
yes.
your vision, taking the foundation from really having one primary, donee to a statewide and beyond, as you would say, organization. I've enjoyed it coming to fruition, and I've enjoyed you leading it and getting to know you better. And I wish you all the best in the future. We'll stay in touch, but I wish you all the best in the future, my friend.
Thank you. And you've been a big part of all of that, particularly early on, and so proud of what you're doing now. So thank you, Dave Coulter, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Larry.
Yep. Coming up next, speaking of the future, we're going to talk to Andrew Stein. He's the incoming president and CEO of the Children's Foundation, when Caring for Kids continues here on the great voice of the Great Lakes, WJR.
Welcome back to Caring for Kids on WJR, presented by the Children's Foundation.
Welcome back, everybody. Andrew Stein is my guest in the studio. It's always great to be in the studio with guests. Andrew is the incoming president in a few days and CEO of the Children's Foundation. Andrew, welcome to Caring for Kids. Great to see you in person.
Great to see you too, Larry.
You've been on board now at the Children's Foundation for well over a month. So let's tell our listeners how things are going and, what has been the highlight so far and maybe what's the biggest surprise?
Yeah, it's been a month in the role, and it's been phenomenal. Days have been very, very busy. Just really learning the people and the work that we're doing at the foundation. So the way I've been spending my time, I've gotten at least an hour or so with each of our staff members. You and I have been talking regularly, Larry, and I've learned a lot from watching your interactions with our board and guiding me. So I've really just been trying to soak it up and learn as much as I can about the foundation. I'd say, surprises. I was told that we had a really talented, phenomenal staff, but you're entering a new position. You never really know who you're working with, but everything that you and others and the board have said about the staff is true and then some. It's really remarkable people who care deeply about the work of the foundation, and I feel very fortunate to have inherited a great team from you.
Great. Well, they're fortunate to have you leading the way. So let's take a step back and tell our listeners we're talking with Andrew Stein, who is the incoming president and CEO of the Children's Foundation, about your background, because you have a very interesting background, both educationally and professionally, and then also what interests you the most about the position of the CEO of the foundation.
So I grew up in the Detroit area. Family has been in this region for generations. Like so many my peers, I left after college and I moved to Washington, D.C., and I spent a year in D.C. working in the public schools there.
Okay.
And that really inspired in me a passion for service, especially serving children. And so ended up going to law school in D.C. because just about everyone in D.C. goes to law school after
DC,
a while.
You better go to law school.
But really wanted to make a career out of nonprofit work serving kids. And so for the last 10 years, I had been working with an organization called City Year, which works in public schools around the country with about 300,000 K through 12 students every day. Had the privilege 7 years ago of moving back to Detroit with my wife, 2 of our children. We now have 3, and leading City Year's work here in Detroit. So working with the public school system, serving about 7,000 students every day. And it was a year or 2 ago, I started to just pull back and think about the next phase of my career. And I knew I wanted to remain in this region. This is home. This is an area I love. I wanted to continue to do something that made the lives of children better in our region. And I was looking for something that was a little larger scale and impact. And so long been an admirer of you and the foundation. And so, when I saw that you were going to be taking the next step in your career, Larry, I said, this, I think, is a place where I could come and do great work for kids on a little bit larger of a scale.
Wonderful. Great explanation. And you didn't mention, but you're a Michigan State Spartan.
Michigan State undergrad, law school at Georgetown, but my loyalties are to the Spartans now and forever.
Well, good. So what are your thoughts as you sort of get to your feet on the ground of the foundation for the next few months? And then more importantly, of course, longer term, what are some of your thoughts that you've already come up with for the foundation?
I think the next few months after the first of the year are really doing what I've been doing internally, but now translating that externally, getting to know our board members. I've had a chance to meet with a few of our board members, but I've got meetings lined up all January, February with our other trustees. I'm spending days at Children's Hospital, really getting to know the staff and the needs and the opportunities there. To me, that will fill my cup. Seeing the work on a ground level will always motivate me. And learning this landscape around kids' health and wellness. I've spent the last leg of my career in education, and a lot of the social determinants of a young person's educational outcomes are the same social determinants that affect their health and wellness over the course of a lifetime.
Absolutely.
But I want to dig in and bring myself up to speed by learning from other experts in the space so that ultimately we can decide as a foundation, what the next 10, 20 years can look like and what the greatest needs are in this community and where this foundation can have the maximum impact. And things like youth mental health, substance use, nutritional health and wellness. I mean, these are the things we're already doing, and I'm sure we'll be a part of the strategy moving.
Yeah. So a couple of things. You mentioned Children's Hospital. They were, that's where we were born out of, and they're still a very important partner. They too will have a leadership transition with Kathy Donovan leaving at the end of December. So that will be an opportunity for you at the very beginning to meet and work with the new CEO. And then you also mentioned substance use disorder. On the show tonight is Matt LaCasse, who, as hopefully our listeners remember, has been a guest before. And that was to talk about a new clinic that we were going to open. It's now open, so we're going to ask Matt about that. So that, with the Jamie Daniels Foundation and our other affiliates, you certainly will not have a lack of meetings, which they're all fun. I found them always fun and entertaining and informative. So is there anything else you want our listeners to know about you and or the foundation moving forward?
I'd say two things. One, if you're hearing this and you have thoughts on how we can improve the health and wellness of children in our region, please reach out. I am interested in learning as much as I can on this job so that we can be a foundation that is supporting and responsive to the community. And then two, Larry, is really you, and I want to thank you for this last month and the support you've shown me in this transition, but even more so for the work that you've done in this community over the course of your career with the foundation. You are leaving it in a better spot than you found it, and I hope that I can say the same when my time.
Well, I'm sure you will, and that means a lot to me because that was my hope, that when I came 6 years ago, the foundation was really not sure what it was going to do. Matt Friedman, as chairman, embraced me. The board has been so supportive of my, 50-year career working with boards. It's the finest support I've ever received. So hopefully you'll find that too. Everything I asked them, basically, they said, okay. And so you're stepping into a great situation we have young board members. We have board members who've been on the board for a while. And so you're the ingredient that they needed to take us to the next step for many, many, many years. And so I wish you the best of luck, Andrew. And as I've said to you many times, I'm going away geographically to Florida, but I'm not going away from an interest standpoint. And if I can provide any insight or help in the future, I'm there whenever you need me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're going to be right back. And as I mentioned, we're going to have Dr. Matt LaCasse. We're going to talk about the new community resource for adolescents when caring for kids continues right here on the great voice of the Great Lakes. So don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Caring for Kids on WJR. Presented by the Children's Foundation. Once again, here's Larry Burns.
Welcome back, everybody. Larry Burns here. Caring for Kids, December issue 2022. Last episode of 2022. With me in the studio is Dr. Matt LaCasse. He is a child psychiatrist at Children's Hospital of Michigan. And he is also now leading the way at a new addiction recovery center in Troy, Michigan. Dr. LaCasse, welcome back to Caring for Kids.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks for having me.
It's great seeing you. The last time you were on, we talked about the center, which we call ARC, which stands for Adolescent Addiction Recovery Center. We talked about it opening in the fall. Well, it's now December. It's open. So I said, I got to have Dr. LaCasse back on to talk about the center, the clinic, and see how things are going. So let's begin with a description again of the center and the services that the center is providing now, and then what it might provide in the future.
Yeah. So Larry, absolutely. Thanks for having me back. Well, so we're now up and running. The Adolescent Addiction Recovery Center, as you said, the ARC, I like to call it the ARC, is an outpatient-based addiction recovery center. So folks struggling with substance use issues or full-on addiction or dependency to any substances can come and get some extra help. It's really special. It's located at the Children's Hospital of Michigan in the Troy location, that multicolored building.
Right,
up at,
and Big Beaver.
Yeah, Big Beaver and 75. Like I said, it's outpatient based, which means that it's a day program. So folks come in during the day, see myself, see our team, and then go home and spend the night at home. We can do some special things. We can do detoxification, like medical detox, which means that if somebody comes in struggling with opioid use or fentanyl use and they can't quite stop, right? It's gotten to a point where they can't stop themselves. They need extra help. We can use certain medications or certain techniques to get them detoxed off of the medication or off of the substances and then more able to work in recovery.
Right.
And we have a really special therapeutic approach too. So it's substance use and addiction is much more than just the drugs themselves. It's often a system, right? Somebody functioning within a family, functioning within society, and then each person carries with them their own sort of mini system within their head, right? And when sometimes those systems go a little bit awry, and then it leads to substance use and then ultimately problematic substance use and addiction. But recovery is really addressing the substance use, and then on top of that, addressing the system-wide stuff. Not only the systems that we carry within ourselves, but the systems that we then interact with. So the therapy, which is the mainstay of the treatment, is all about getting the kids, and I say kids because right now we're only accepting folks, adolescents, getting the adolescents functioning with their own internal system as best they can, and then with their family and community. Really empowering them to live the life they want to live and the values that they choose and get closer to those.
And one of the things that we've talked about in the past is there's a lot of centers helping people, mostly adults, deal with addiction. And how are they different than maybe a 40-year-old man or woman? Is there any obvious changes or differences between those populations?
Yeah, so as addiction continues on and gets essentially worse generally throughout the ages, it becomes a much, much, much more isolative disease. And it basically gets more severe in almost every aspect. So folks become more dependent, physiologically dependent. Their bodies become more dependent. They get deeper as people age. They get more ingrained in these maladaptive or dysfunctional ways of living, and substances play a role in those. And the deeper and deeper and the longer and longer that goes on, the more and more entrenched they get with those sort of, like I said, maladaptive behaviors or behaviors that don't allow them to actually live life the way they would want to. So catching them early on, as substance use is generally just taking off, is really important.
Right, it sounds like it. And I've talked to several people that have said, in fact, some of our donors that said, I knew that at age 14, 15, that I had a problem. I just didn't deal with it. And thankfully, they have dealt with it, but well into their adulthood. So getting it early, I think, is certainly key for youngsters. So we're talking with Dr. Matt LaCasse, who's a child psychiatrist at Children's Hospital of Michigan. And he also is the clinical director leading the Adolescent Addiction Recovery Center, now open in Troy, known as the ARC. And it's been open since early October. So, Dr. LaCasse, how are things going so far? And what type of patients are you seeing?
Well, things are going wonderful. As you said, we're open since early October, so we've had a couple months under our belt. Now we're fully licensed. All of our operations are running really smoothly. We have many patients currently receiving care, which is a beautiful thing. You asked about the patients, sort of what we're seeing. We're seeing what I thought we would see, which are adolescents, young people, trying to do the best they can, but struggling in certain aspects of their life. Addiction often comes with different comorbidities or different things, right? Depression, anxiety, family issues. And so we're seeing a lot of kids who come from all sorts of different walks of life with different things that they're carrying with them, and then substances play a role. There's a decent amount of marijuana, some alcohol, and even some opioids, some pills. And those are the really dangerous ones, the opioids and pills and alcohol. All that can take off, but we're seeing these now and helping people out and helping families out.
Well, another question. You came from your training in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Have you seen any differences in adolescents or kids in Colorado versus here?
So yes, there's the Southwest has a lot more methamphetamine use.
Okay, all right.
And from what I hear, talking to my colleagues around, is that methamphetamine use is actually coming back, or coming here.
Coming here.
Right. Yeah, more so than it has in the past. But that's something that's sort of come like Southwest and made its way east a little bit.
Yeah, I know it's a problem. I spent a lot of time in Florida and working with the Hanley Foundation, and meth is this is adults, but it's a big problem in South Florida.
Yeah.
At least it appears to be. And so for people listening now, adolescents don't listen to WJR as much as adults. So we have parents listening. We have grandparents listening. We have uncles and aunts. And so if somebody feels they need to make an appointment for a youngster or a family with the youngster, what's the best way to move forward?
So thanks, Larry, for making that point. Absolutely. We work through families and with families to help out. So even if the youngster is not maybe in a space where he or she wants to come to a clinic, the family is absolutely welcome, and we can work through the family to help the family, and then ultimately help the youngster through the family.
Okay, is that sort of a intervention almost?
Well, it's part of our family therapy programming, but intervention formally is sort of like sitting the kid down and having a meeting like all at once, which we can do as well.
Right.
When I'm talking more specifically about family coming into the clinic, is working through some of the family issues and how we can help parents navigate some of these things as time goes on with the kid.
Well, and I know I haven't experienced this, but I have friends who have parents don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. Now they have a place they can call. So the best thing to do is to call?
Absolutely, yes. So call. Our number is 248-377-8717.
Okay, and we'll put that on our website and make sure that people have that. So the last question I have, and then I'll let you say anything you want, is philanthropy playing a role in the center?
Absolutely. So Larry, yes, the center would not be in existence today if it weren't for the Children's Foundation. It's in today's landscape with medicine, it's difficult, and substance use and mental health treatment in general gets kind of marginalized. Mm-hmm. And there's not much of it at all, and so it's difficult for big systems to buy in because, to be honest, there's not a whole lot of profit. So that's part of the reason why there's not a whole lot of care for these kids. Mm-hmm. Philanthropy is exceptionally important in the mental health substance use arena because of that reason. The Children's Foundation and all the generous donors and supporters, and philanthropy in general allows people to do things without do things the right way and care for patients and families the way it should happen. To give you an example, at the ARC, we don't turn anybody away. So the one thing that makes us a little bit different is that other treatment centers, if they do offer any adolescent treatment programming, it's often minimal. And on top of that, depending on your insurance, they might say, hey, we don't take your insurance. So yes, you have this problem, but we can't help it.
Right.
And then cash pay, of course, is extraordinarily expensive.
Right.
So part of the philanthropic efforts here with the clinic is that we have a scholarship fund. And we will never turn anybody away based on their ability to pay. So if they can't pay, a lot of that philanthropic money goes to support these kids' patients' visits and their care while we get them set up, with whatever it is, Medicaid or whatever insurance they can. And also other little things like getting them rides if the family system, is in a way that they can't get.
Can't get there.
Yeah, the kid get there. We can get them rides. Other little supports it's those supports that honestly make the difference between people succeeding and people having difficulties. Right. These little extra pieces, put those all together. And that's what holistic comprehensive care is all about.
Right. So philanthropy is playing a major part. And I'm just going to name a few of our donors to recognize them. So it's the Giannopoulos Family Endowment, John and Miriam, and now their children, Peter, Cassandra, and others. The Jamie Daniels Foundation, Ken and Lisa Daniels, supporting the ARC through philanthropy. Derby for Kids, our annual event that we hold celebrating the Kentucky Derby at the Country Club of Detroit, first Saturday of May. A new donor, the Van Alslander Foundation. And so that we're very, very grateful for them, as well as Marilyn Bartley. She's a board member. And then Delta Dental, Margaret Trimmer, and those are just to name a few. And so the Children's Foundation, hopes to continue asking folks to support us and to help these kids and their families. So thank you, Dr. LaCasse, for what you're doing. Without you, this never would have happened. You came back to your hometown hoping that you could have a center like this, and lo and behold, we have it.
Yeah, here we are, helping kids.
So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry.
Yep, and happy holidays. So coming up next, I'll provide an update on what's going on at the Children's Foundation right here on the great voice of the Great Lakes, WJR. So don't go away. Well, welcome back, everybody. It was a great show. 3 great guests, as usual. As 2022 comes to a close, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a happy new year. Thanks for listening to Caring for Kids, and as I like to say, onward.
Caring for Kids with Larry Burns on WJR has been presented by the Children's Foundation.